Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at the APA's Lifestyle Psychiatry Caucus monthly webinar. I'm very excited about today's presentation. Dr. Param Dedhia is passionate about defining health. He's a dedicated internal medicine clinician and former academic. He has many years of experience, and he's been for everywhere from Johns Hopkins to Canyon Ranch for 12 years to now Muveo. Is that right? Muveo. He is board certified in internal medicine, obesity medicine, and sleep medicine, and he's fellowship trained in integrative medicine and geriatric medicine. So he was assistant director of the weight loss program in Hopkins. He spent 12 years at Canyon Ranch as an integrative medicine doctor, where he was leading retreats on working one-on-one. And he was also, while he was at Canyon Ranch, he was also led the executive health program, preventive cardiology, sleep medicine, weight loss, and innovative programs. He's a noted speaker. He's delivered many keynotes to corporate America, as well as many medical societies. Very excited to have him here. So he's going to share with us sleep for health. Thank you so much, Param, for joining us today.
Greetings, everyone. I know it's a topic that all of us can relate to. So we can talk a lot about things, but I'm going to ask us, as we're here and many times getting a CME to think about the people we serve, we'll take a moment and to honor this is a topic for all of us. So as much as we're going to honor the people in our office, I would also want to honor what this can mean for you, the people in your direct household, that of all opportunities to live it, experience it, and then to be able to share it. So let's think about that in terms of the healer, honoring the healing himself, herself, by themselves. So you might have questions and thoughts. Please know that we'll have some time at the end. Also, as you have opportunities, reach out to me on LinkedIn. We'll have an opportunity to jump a little bit further. So with no further ado, let's jump right into it. Sleep. Let's talk about it. So what's about to happen? I'm going to tell you things you know. I'm going to let you know things that you used to know, and a few new concepts that will help you connect you from ideas to action. We want to be able to talk about that. What you're going to hear me talk about is what is sleep? Seemingly a simple topic, but we're going to really need to understand it. What is the promise of sleep? As we give to it, what will it give it back to us? Going even further than that is understanding what can go bump in the night, and therefore be able to have that awareness. Then we can be able to see it, address it, and move through it. And then I wish to honor an important topic. Daytime sets up night, and night sets up day. A very simple concept, but until we pause and slow it down, it seemingly is going to flash before us. So let's go into this a bit further. Is this a brand new conversation? Not at all. It's traditional wisdom. Goes back to grandma's medicine. What did grandma's medicine used to speak of? Come on, you remember. What was it about? Let's think about it. Right? First and foremost, eat your veggies, go out and play, and get your sleep. So this isn't a brand new idea. It's traditionally been touted as important, but it's gone prime time with modern science. The American Academy of Sleep is not that old. It's about 40, 50 years of age. And the real discussion of sleep health is directed to heart health. And the year 2001, 2000, there was a great landmark set of studies called the Sleep Heart Health Study. The number one cause of death and dying in the world that you and I live in is heart disease. Who's more likely to have heart disease, men or women? Women. It's not that men suddenly got healthier, but there's a huge opportunity to appreciate that when they found that poor sleep connected itself to heart health, there was no longer this woo-woo, foo-foo topic. It's understanding that this is for the body, by the body, and because of the body. So let's go further than this. What I wish for us to appreciate, sleep does so many things for us. Go through the top 10, pick 1, 2, all 10. But let's see which ones resonate with you. All right, here we go. Number 1, it restores every single night. What I would want you to think about here is every single night you cool the body and the brain. Within that conversation, the next time you see someone grabbing some sheets, pulling it up a little longer, just know that they're going to a dream. We don't know what they're dreaming about, but it's a cool thing on a sleep study that we see. So a bit of trivia.
Param, did you want to share your slides with us?
Oh, it's not being shared?
No. So I was going to say, maybe you want to share your slides.
Let's go back then. My apologies.
No, that's okay. That's
So
okay. I think we were enjoying talking to you, listening to you. Yes.
Let's get it now. So if anybody wants to re-cue it, here we go. We're here to talk about sleep. It's traditional wisdom. One more time. Eat your veggies, my friends. Go out and play and get your sleep. It's about grandma's medicine. Traditionally touted.
Elizabeth, are you ready?
Yeah.
Take
So,
your time.
I think somebody's talking as well. So
Yeah, I'm gonna fix that. Keep going.
okay. What we do want to appreciate is sleep can do so many things for us. Let's talk about the top 10. Let's talk about the things that we can be looking at. Every single night, the body has to restore. One of the preeminent things in physiology is understanding cooling the brain and the body. We know in surgeries and other type of procedures, cooling in the OR is a really important concept. When somebody has a spinal cord injury, we cool them. Every single night, your body cools itself. The coolest time is actually in a dream. On a sleep study, when we see somebody grabbing their sheets, what do we know? We know they're about to get into a dream. A bit of trivia. It's a bit of a fun opportunity to know what's going on. Furthermore, every single night, you reset the body. Sodium, potassium, chloride. We all learned that in physiology class. But one of the great opportunities now that every single night these reset. What does that reset? It resets the electricity and also that of the mechanics. Said another way, the neurological system, the muscular system, famously the heart. Without it, you get sparks. We call that arrhythmia. And the brain, we call that seizure-like activity. Doesn't even sound like anything we want to sign up for. Right there, we're introducing the concept. Sleep is for the brain, it's for the heart, it's for health, everything from head to toe. Go a bit further here with me. It's about repair. You had a good workout, you're feeling a few muscles you haven't felt in a while. If you want to get the full benefit, what do you need to do? Get your sleep. It's been noted over the last 10 years, LeBron James, one of the preeminent basketball players, age 40, 22 years of playing professional basketball, he has a sleep coach. It's noted that he sleeps on the order of 10 plus hours every single night. It's something in which he notes that when he prioritizes it, allows him to actually perform at his best. So what we need to appreciate, many people may not be talking about health, but I think all of us want to perform, whether we're an Olympiad, whether we are a professional basketball player, or wanting to live our best lives. Sleep's an anti-inflammatory. Let's say another way. What do you feel like doing if you have the fever or the flu? Sleep. Sleep is there. It's a $1 billion industry, and you and I make it every single night. We're not only physical. I'm here talking to kindred spirits. We're not only of this conversation of physiology, we must honor the mental and emotional. A real important part of the brain called the limbic system opens up every single night. A huge opportunity for soothing and clearing. Mentioned before, sleep is for the heart health. Year 2021 sleep heart health study opened this topic in the most beautiful way. We ought not to look back. Anytime I know somebody's had a cardiac new finding, I pause and I want them to have a sleep test. It's amazing. I look so brilliant just by making that simple connection and leaning in a bit further. You know this. Anything that's good for the heart is good for the brain. What I would want you to think about and to go deeper into is every single night we create this neuroplasticity, right? You heard about it? Brush your teeth with the opposite hand, learn a new language, and again, get your sleep. A huge opportunity to heal the brain. Whether you feel like your memory slipped or not, we must honor that this is one of the great conversations that we are still looking to better understand. Let's talk about the biggest conversation related to this, Alzheimer's. If you take a look at Alzheimer's, we still talk about it at autopsy. We're getting some blood tests, we're getting some imaging, so we don't have to do things in pathology lab. But what do they know? In the brain is increased number of tangles in tau protein. What do we know that happens in sleep, in particular dreams? Every single night, you clear tangles and you clear some of these tau proteins. Curious. Sleep is for you and honoring your best health. We're not here to talk about joy. Why are we here? You just need something else to do tonight. You're really needing to find that one extra CME. We must honor that sleep is here to connect us to all things. And I'll speak to this again and again. And here's the big one. It's energy. What is the promise of sleep? To have that morning, make it through that afternoon, to honor that evening, to be able to honor that day that we want to be part of. Please understand, sleep honors our health and our healing. Let's go even further. It's been for the longest time, I used to speak of sleep having two bookends, but now I've translated that into three legs of the stool. What I would want you and I to do is to better understand what we can be building on here. Where I want us to appreciate is every single night, we need to get enough sleep time. I retake my board exams all the time, and there's always a question. They give you a scenario. And classically, somebody's getting very little sleep. And anytime they say, offer a recommendation for more sleep, ding, 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 you've got an answer there. Please appreciate it. It's like smoking. When we tell people, give people permission to do something different, it's amazing how much opportunity that is. But for you and I know that you've given all day long to everyone and you want some me time. The ultimate me time is getting your sleep. It really will honor all the things in between those pockets of time during your day tonight. So it's not only about quantity, it's about quality. Some people are aware of disordered sleep, but I will share with you, I am amazed how many people are unaware of disordered sleep. Many people have normalized it. Think of it. I think many of us went through a similar training. We weren't given an opportunity to focus on sleep in any part of our curriculum. So what I want you to know is that I'm here to talk to you about what is in the textbook, but I beg you not to stop at the textbook. Have a low threshold, have an opportunity to include sleep in any conversation, every conversation. But here's a topic that I must bring in. In the year 2017, the Nobel Prize was given to the 3 scientists to talk about the circadian rhythms. This planet is governed by the star, the moons, and everything else that moves around it. It gives us normalcy, it gives us routine. I beg for all of us to also create a routine. A bedtime, a wake-up time. And here it is. If you're about to fall asleep, I always like to front load some of the best takeaways. And my number one recommendation out there to all people when they're struggling with their sleep, have a set wake-up time. You cannot force yourself to go to sleep. Can't. But with some displeasure or a lot of displeasure, you can force yourself to wake up. By doing that, you're going to be creating one of the greatest chemistries of keeping an anchor to quantity and quality of sleep. Some people will be morning people, some people will be evening people. But I would want you to know it's genetic, but with some governance of lifestyle, you can honor that. I have the genetics and I'm classically a night owl. But it's amazing, not many people want me doing consults at midnight. So therefore, I've calibrated myself to be able to be a daytime person. So also to be able to start in the morning. Please know that there is an opportunity for all of us. If you're like me, you didn't get sleep in your curriculum, you learn about sleep, but unconsciously you learn these things and you got to unlearn them. I call them some of the sleep myths. So let me go ahead and talk about them here. Here's one of my favorites. We all wish we could sleep like a baby. My friends, are babies the best sleepers? Nope. Yeah, 18 hours, but what do? Eat, sleep, poop, eat, sleep, poop. You won't get through your work life. You won't get through this talk. It's not an easy way to live your best life. So let's think about it. Even though we're getting quantity sleep, we're not getting quality sleep at this time. At what age we get the best sleep? Right? Teenagers, they're the rock stars of sleep, and don't let anyone tell you different. What do teenagers do? Let's think about it. Teenagers get to sleep. They stay asleep.
They know I'm on the
And
phone.
what we want to appreciate is that there's a huge opportunity to know that, have any of you tried to wake up a teenager before they're ready? Well, see, it's not even worth it. My friends, you and I once had a teenage career. Almost all people can say they used to sleep better. When I mention that, people go, how do you know? I'm like, you once were a teenager. You had the natural chemistry to be able to get to sleep and stay asleep. So let's talk a little bit further. Here's another myth. We all need less sleep as we get older. You heard my bio is that I used to be an academic. So what I want you to know, I moved into this world of wellness at Canyon Ranch. It's a marketplace if you're not careful. Marketplaces do what? They put in a truth and they put in a little fib, but enough to hook you with the truth. So this is partially true and partially not. It is true. Compared to our teenage career, we need less sleep compared to that time. As we get older, it's not as easy to get to sleep. But you still need that sleep. So just because it's not easy, we tend to acclimate to less sleep, but it doesn't mean we acclimate to our best health. We must keep this as an opportunity. So what we want to know, it's not true that we need less sleep. We need 7 to 9 hours as adults. What happens as we get older, we have less deep sleep and we're easier to wake up and we can suck it up. Teenager, wake them up. Woo, you should have just left them alone. That's too fussed out. But you and I will give a sigh and we'll get to it. So I want us to appreciate a huge opportunity to get to it. Now, let's get to it. This goal of 7 to 9 hours, what should we think of? To nap or not to nap? That's the question. My friends, we have, and I think we'll stay in the pro-nap era. of sleep. I'm glad we're here and I wish for us to acknowledge it. But before I do, the first thing is the gold standard is to get your sleep every single night. And so I'm not anti-nap, but if you can get that 7 to 9 hours at night, that's what we want to honor. From there, wish for us to appreciate. If you can't get the 7 to 9 hours, I'm not talking bedtime, I'm talking sleep time. Naps are a good way to total up to that 7 to 9 hours of sleep. But napping is an art. It's best if it's part of a routine. 10, 20, 30 minutes, if I had to pick one number, probably 20 is what bears itself out in the literature. But it's an art, meaning think of it like snacking. If you had too big of a snack, if you had a snack close to dinner, how hungry would you be at dinner in either case? Not so much. If you have too long of a nap, if you nap too close to bedtime, you're unlikely to be able to get a restoring night of sleep. So just keep that in mind as you do again, first for you, before the people we serve. So no need to memorize this, but let's go through the physiology. About 100 plus years ago, they took the leads off the chest in the EKG and noted, whoa, there's these brain rhythms, this EEG, and then they had the bright idea of honoring daytime versus nighttime. So we go from this awake brain to this stuff called stage 1 and 2, typically known as light sleep. The worst nomenclature we could have ever picked. Who here wants to be a light sleeper? Said no one. What I would want you and I to appreciate, light sleep is healthy. It's garden variety. It helps you roll over. It does a little bit of everything. But let's talk about the rock stars, the real celebration of our sleep, the deep sleep and dream sleep. But for a moment, without being a neurologist, take a look. You go from this faster wave, you notice that you're slowing down, you have some tightness here, but then look what happens steadily as you go from being awake, light sleep, think of a spring being pulled apart. What do you see here? You see that spring pulled apart. This is the deep sleep. It's often called slow wave sleep. It's hard to wake people up. But wait, looking here at dreams, doesn't this look a bit faster? Doesn't this look a bit like being awake? If you look back at the old textbooks, before they knew they were dreams, they called it awake sleep, which was really this confusing terminology. So what we do want to appreciate that this is going to help me understand what goes on during deep and dream. And I want to translate this to you because my friends, who are the best sleepers of all time? Teenagers. What do they do better than others? Deep sleep and dream sleep. So rather than doing some kind of fairy tale science fiction movie where you go back in time, how can we become more deep in dreams without having to be a teenager again? As you can tell from me bringing that up, this is what I'm going to talk about here in the second half of the talk. How do we bring this deep sleep and dream sleep? Please note that this is a key opportunity for all of us. Now, before getting there, I want you to see that if I were to take a sleep study, an overnight sleep study, a portable sleep study, we graph this out. It's called a hypnogram. You take a look at the number of hours of sleep and time, and then you look through the different stages of sleep. Being awake, stage 1, 2, and 3, and that famous dream stuff going along the way. So what you'd want to know is I wish to artificially talk about that 7 to 9 hours. So we talk about 8 hours of sleep. But here we are. The first half of the night, what do you see more of? Look at the color coding, stage 3, better known as deep sleep. Okay, take a deep breath if you're falling asleep. I know it's late in the evening, but this is the good stuff you don't want to miss. What happens during deep sleep? My friends, this is physical repair. You put in growth hormone, testosterone in the body. You had a good workout, you want to finish the workout, you need to get the deep sleep. Here's the cool thing. The more physical work you do, you burn ATP, adenosine triphosphate. When adenosine is disconnected from those phosphates, the adenosine induces deeper sleep. So physical activity will induce deeper sleep. And when you do deep sleep, you're going to recover and be more physically active the next day. This is cool. One begets the next. Go further with me. What I want you to see is the second half of the night and the blue. What do we see more of? Ah, this is right up your alley. This is that limbic system that opens up. What does that do? It opens up and clears the negative thoughts. The guy who cut you off, somebody who said something rude to you, an old negative thought that won't go away. I just forget about it, move on. Wish it was so simple. Every single night, you're opening up and clearing the negative. I will tell you this is a real key. What is the number one sleep complaint I deal with? Getting to sleep is not the biggest one. Yes, it's there. But the biggest one is this, and I think some of you will relate to it. They say, Doc, I get to sleep, But then somewhere in the middle of the night, 1, 2, or 3 in the morning, I wake up and it won't shut off. Classic. What I tell people is like, yeah, it makes sense. You spent the first half of the night paying off the physical exhaustion. You're not as tired anymore. Now you're waking up clearing the negative. But if you have an overflowing bucket of negative, it's going to not allow you to shut it off, and it will be harder to stay asleep. So it's vital that we honor people during the daytime with their mental and emotional health. Sleep will do the best it can to clear it, but it can only do so much. But see, every single night, we must honor this. 100 years ago, IQ was celebrated. What became big in the 90s? EQ. Please appreciate this ability to be clear here allows us to connect. And when we're connected here, we can connect to people with us. This is the amazing power of possibility. Get your deep sleep, physical repair, get your dreams, get this emotional clearing. Let's go a bit further. All of us must honor this conversation of memory. The first half of the night, I want you to have this visualization. It's as if you open up a panorama of the day you just lived. And what I would want you to know and to think about is, during this part of the night, this is called declarative memory. You're just bringing in factoids, Polaroid snapshots, and you're bringing in Post-it notes, right? You're not trying to make sense of anything. You're just bringing in facts. In the second half of the night, you are now going to connect things that were not spoon-fed to you during the daytime. And is it as if you have a file cabinet in your brain? You're going to open that cabinet, bring in the new thoughts with the previous thoughts. What do we call that? Making connections, creativity, problem solving. Who here would benefit from being creative and a problem solver? Everyone. So again, do we want to donate any more sleep away, my friends? What I wish for us to see is when we do physical repair, emotional clearing, an opportunity to bring in memories and to be creative, problem solving. Quantity, quality, rhythm of sleep. This is the payoff. Now, I'm going to go back. There's a myth and also a fear. If I talk to you about sleep and stop here, and you wake up in the middle of the night, you're going to go, uh-oh, here we go. I'm never going to be healthy again. Oh, nuts. No, time out. It's natural every 90 to 120 minutes to wake up and roll over. So I promise you, when you wake up tonight, you get that glint of light, you get that ache, that pain. Smile and put your head back on the pillow and allow yourself to go back to sleep. Remember, thinking about sleep does not help you sleep. It's not abnormal to have wake-ups and rollovers. Think of teenagers, children. They're all curled up. Every 90, 120 minutes, they open their eyes, clear their lips, and then put their head back on the pillow. They don't wake up saying, Mom, Dad, I'm not getting my deep sleep. I'm not getting my dream sleep. Call Uncle Param, get this figured out. No, not at all. Please, tonight, do not create this monkey mind and to worry yourself. But yes, as clinicians, we have to think about what else can be there. As an internist, as a sleep medicine doctor, integrative, that was my executive health practice, I had to look for sleep apnea. In a few moments, I'm going to teach you about it. In this day and age, we don't have to go in the hospital. There is portable sleep testing, and I would highly encourage all of you to be leaning into this. You'll be seeing this more than anyone else. I was mentioning every Thursday I work at a recovery center. The data is clear. If someone is in sobriety, one of the key notations is getting their sleep to help them stay in sobriety. I'm not discounting all the other amazing work that can be done, but that's one of the key metrics that we also must look at. Quantity, quality, rhythm of sleep. That quality of sleep means we've got to make sure they're breathing well. Here's one we're going to talk about in a few minutes, restless legs. It's a form of periodic limb movement. It's a misnomer. It's not only legs, it can be the arms, it can be the torso, and it can vary from night to night. Teeth clenching and grinding. My friends, I want you to know, I'm here not to be contrarian, but the textbooks say these are not related. I was lucky enough to have a mentor who said that they're definitely related. I can't unsee what I see. I look so brilliant that if somebody's grinding, I ask them about their restless legs, they think I'm brilliant. No, it's just a correlation. That's all it is. When you hurt, it's not easy to sleep. When you don't sleep, you tend to hurt more. One of the greatest groups of people attending the American Academy of Sleep Medicine is pain specialists. They used to say 15 years ago, either send them to the pain doctor or help them sleep. Now, you send them to both people to help them be synergistic together. Medicines have to be looked at, especially those that cross the blood-brain barrier. Our psychiatry medicines absolutely have to be looked at for the potential misgivings with their sleep. But here are the other famous ones, not pharmaceuticals, but caffeine and alcohol. I might lose a few friends when I get into this detail in a moment, but it's so important to know the rules of engagement. We are a product of our environment. Here is it put simply. What we must do is mimic nature every night. What does nature do every single night? Cool, comfortable, dark, and quiet. What do I ask our bedroom to be? Cool, comfortable, dark, and quiet. Let it be your sanctuary. It's not a luxury at all. But what medically could be keeping us awake? A huge overlap between depression, anxiety, and sleep. Unbelievable. Some people tout it as much as a 90% overlap on the Venn diagram. Really complicated, but important. Menopause, even without weight gain, can lead to sleep apnea, but other sleep challenges. Very important discussion to be able to appreciate that change in life. All right, this gets complicated. Let's make it simple. How many times is it normal to get up and use the loo? How many times is it normal to empty the bladder every night? 0 to 1, normal. 2, normal-ish. 3 or more, we ought to talk. What's going on there is this huge opportunity to appreciate that many people wake up and they realize their bladder can be empty. Not the bladder waking them up, it's that the brain's awake and then they start sensing the bladder. This is a great tip-off. Yes, I work up bladder issues, urinary tract infection, men, the prostate, but please know, 65% of the time, it's a disturbed sleep conversation, not any of those internal medicine reviews. When you insult the brain or the heart, please look at the sleep. If you have a mini stroke, untreated sleep challenges, especially sleep apnea, it'll go on to have an issue. Going even further than that, what I would want you and I to appreciate, if you have a mini heart attack, an arrhythmia, and poor sleep, it can go on to a massive coronary event. It can go into a deeper arrhythmia. My friends, I just beg you to please listen in. Look at any of these clues. And here's the last one, very controversial, but important. What I would want you to think about and to know is this. When you have an increased amount of inflammation, the brain is literally more fidgety. It's a complicated rhythm called cyclical alternating patterns. You just see these people in and out of sleep all night long. Perhaps controversial, but this is where I might use the hypnotics, some of the schedule 2 medicines to help people get some sleep and see if I can get ahead of this and then allow them to get deeper into their sleep. I'm only going to give a little bit of time to it at the end of this talk, but cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI. And if you don't already know the resource, Stanford University partnered with the VA, CBTI Coach, free app. 3 major businesses went out of business that did online CBTI. And this is an app out there that has been shown time and time again to be helpful, because there's not enough of us out there that are trained in cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. Hugely important. Honor health, honor sleep. You're honoring both of them when you start with one. So when you have disordered sleep, my friends, you're going to have more inflammation, higher sugar, irritation of the blood vessels, spasms, hormonal shifts. What do these tend to lead to? Hypertension, weight gain, blood sugar, cholesterol. What do we call that? Metabolic syndrome. This is that brew that tends to lead to what? Heart disease, strokes, early memory change, not living your best number of years. Whoa, this is just sleep. My friends, yes, and it's part of our health and our healing. They did a neat discussion, right? We talked about syndrome X before we call it metabolic syndrome. A great author, Nook, did this. He went through and did a log regression of metabolic syndrome and found that obesity was the #1 factor. He redid it with sleep apnea. What did he find? The #2 factor behind obesity was sleep apnea. I'm not to discount the importance of diabetes, the importance of blood pressure, the importance of cholesterol. But just think for a moment, sleep is on that list, and perhaps higher on that list. Lean into that syndrome Z as honoring that poor sleep is also going to make their physiological health poor, have them premature age, heart, brain, and everything in between. We must know that the big part of this is understanding people's rhythms. And there's a huge shift in this 24/7 economy. In this time where we have more digital access, I think some of you are like me, you remember when the TV used to fuzz out at a certain time, there was no more programming. I checked a little while ago. There's always something on. There's never any downtime out there. And if it's not on TV, it is definitely online. So please see that there is a discussion about the higher ends of this as the sleep urge, and lower is that of the awake. So what I would want you and I to know is that we get a bump of energy mid-morning and also in the evening. What do you see here? In the middle of part of the day, happens to be after lunch. I'm so glad that you guys did not ask me to give you a lunch talk, because I famously struggle to keep people interested during that time. And it's not just my content, it's the fact that physiologically there is a bit of a dip. I ask people to know this in business, in profession, and everything in between. What I would want you to know is if you have that important conversation, understand that there are some people that are going to have this dip. It's not going to be the time that you're going to have the greatest input from all people. Just an honored opportunity to be curious about all these rhythms that are out there. So as we go deeper into this, I can't see because most of you have your videos off, but I don't believe any of you have yet fallen asleep. But let's take a look a little bit deeper. The following are not normal. I'm not trying to irritate, but this slide famously irritates most audiences. My apologies in advance for being irritated. The following are not normal. Are you ready? All right. It's not normal to fall asleep if reading quiet in the afternoon. Even if it's a boring book, you should be awake. It's not normal to drift out at an afternoon meeting or a lecture. Again, thank you for being here in the evening. Not normal to fall asleep on a plane. I'm not talking about red-eye flights. Not normal to fall asleep watching television to early evening. I'm not talking about bedtime. Not normal to fall asleep when you're a passenger in a car for an hour without a break. And you ready for the zinger? It's not normal to doze off at a red light or a stop sign. Every time I put that data, people smile, smirk, and say, what? In North America, Canada, and the United States have been doing this data set. Other than the pandemic, it was clear. Drinking and driving kills people. Guess what beat drinking and driving? Sleepiness behind the wheel. If somebody came into your staff meeting drunk, you might sit down and say, hey, are you doing okay? Can we talk? If they come in sleepy, what do? Tea? Coffee? Want to throw some water on your face? Want to do some jumping jacks? Do a burpee or two? Get the blood flowing? We've normalized sleepiness. It's an impairment. We make mistakes. Some of the greatest mistakes have been recorded around 2, 3 in the morning. Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, Valdez oil spill, possibly the Challenger space shuttle tragedy, were all decisions made at 3 and 4 in the morning. My friends, please appreciate sleep deprivation or middle of the night thinking is not you at your best. No disrespect to those of us who are pulling tough hours at this time in our lives, but please make it a limited time in your life. These don't define, but this gets my attention, gets my spine a lot taller. Okay. When you hear this, or if you hear yourself nodding your head, be curious. When somebody says, I don't need sleep, that makes me very curious. I'm fine with 4 to 5 hours. That's about 1% of the population. I seemingly met that entire 1% of the population. I have so many people claim they're that 4 to 5 hour person. Yes, I sleep. I get 10 or more hours every night. That's normal in 2% of the population, but I'm like, whoa, you're sleepy. We ought to talk about that. Because it's like a fishing net. You throw out the net and you might get 4 or 5 hours sleep, but you need 10 hours of time to get there. So it's a curiosity why somebody needs more. I catch up on the weekends. It's not easy for people to catch up. We don't have to be perfect, but we don't want to wait until the weekend to catch up. I'm a great sleeper. I can sleep anytime, anywhere. I'm like, whoa, that's a sign of sleep deprivation. That means we need to help you. This isn't a skill. Many people brag about it. It's nothing that I want people to feel that is normal. Let's go even further. Address these: traffic accidents, occupational errors, high blood pressure, higher sugar, weight gain that doesn't seem to correlate with nutrition, exercise. Cancerous, they did the study, nighttime overshift nurses. They have a much higher risk of breast cancer than age-matched controls. We don't understand that data set completely, but it's been repeated and shown to be true. There's something to be said about that. Depression, memory impairments, professional performance, academics, quality of life, productivity. I know these are a bit vague, but just lean into them, if you will. Sleepiness is not always obvious. People won't come and say, hey, I'm sleepy. Can we talk about it? But when these come up, I then lean back into that direction. I'm a bit repeated here. I want you to know that simple sleepiness doesn't kill you unless you're behind the wheel of a car. 16 hours awake or 6 hours of sleep, you perform as if you have an alcohol level of 0.05. In Utah, this is the legal limit. In Europe, this is the legal limit. But what I want you to know, again, is sleepiness is more of a culprit than death and dying behind the wheel than alcohol. Going even further. How many of us like to make mistakes? Candidly, none of us. What I would want us to do and to go deeper into is this discussion. I want you to see, they did this study a while back, 2004, right? So it's a bit dated, but the data is so yummy and it's not been repeated. That's the reason I keep it in here. They looked at the number of days and they looked at the time in bed. They didn't have a lot of portable sleep studies back then. No time in bed, 4, 6, and that yummy 8 hours of sleep. They recruited healthy, happy sleepers that could do well. So they stacked the deck. And all they did is then look to limit their quantity of sleep. They looked to see how many mistakes they made. This is called performance vigilant testing. Flashed a light, hit a button, say you have to put in that digit that you see on the screen. So it's not hard tasks, but it's attention-oriented tasks. Look here, the group that got that yummy 8 hours of sleep, over 2 weeks, they made the fewest number of mistakes. Okay, let's look at that unfortunate group that had no time in bed. 1 night of no sleep, 8 mistakes. Another night of no sleep, 13 mistakes. What I would want you to know is here, when you take a look at 3 nights of no sleep, 15 mistakes. Say, okay, I get some sleep. I don't get no sleep. This is a bit ridiculous. Look at the yellow. And as I circle this one up here, this is the 4 hours of sleep a night. Look what happens. The mistakes accumulate over 14 days. What happens? After 14 days of 4 hours of sleep, that person performs as if they've been up for 3 nights straight. Person up 3 nights straight, this is ridiculous. Person getting 4 hours, some of us in our training or some of us currently, I've learned to suck it up. But are you really performing at your best? I'm not here to criticize any of us, but I'm here to stack the deck in our favor. We wish to honor that sleep deprivation accumulates. Here's a big one. You heard my background is in healthy weight. The stressed out brain, the sleepy brain, neurochemically craves. What do we want when we're hungry or stressed out? We want sugar, we want fat, and when do we want it? Now. Sugar, fat, now. Sugar, fat, now. People say, oh, I just need more willpower. I'm like, no, this is neurochemical. The studies have been showing this. Neuropeptide Y, orexin, ghrelin, leptin, all of these are out of balance during sleep deprivation as well as stress. So please, please appreciate the sleepy brain is the craving brain. So important. Without going into detail, and for the sake of time, please just simply know, all pain conditions can lead to poor sleep. When you hurt, it's not easy to sleep. We don't sleep, you tend to hurt more. Again, the pain doctors are often sending them to the sleep doctors and they collaborate. It's a huge collaboration. ADD and sleepiness, look at this. I took out of the textbook of each. Look at the overlap. This is what we see, unable to prioritize, poor attention, clumsiness, overconfidence, working memory problems, unable to deal with complicated new problems, unable to judge their impairment. What you'd want to know is they did the study in children, right, where ADD literature tends to be more robust. What they did in this children's clinic, they looked to see how many of the children through a sleep study did not breathe well, had a form of sleep apnea. Of those who did, they noted that those children, once treated for their sleep apnea, majority of them no longer tested positive for ADD. That was about 3 out of 10 people in terms of that ADD clinic. I just want you to lean into this and be more curious. The sleepy brain is like an ADD brain. Without awareness, we can't set our intentions and live our best life. So now I'm going to take you on a trip through the sleep board exam. Trust me, it's going to be more pleasant than the form that I went through. I want to hit the top few diagnoses here and empower you all. Most of people are not getting enough sleep. Nocturnal movement, I'm going to teach you about restless legs. Some basics about sleep apnea and getting people going on it. And just a reminder about the insomnia. Restless legs, let's start there. It's technically called Willis-Ekbom disease. Most people don't remember that. Probably forever we're going to call it restless legs. My friends, it's a misnomer. It can be the arms, it can be the torso. Night to night, it can change. One night gruesome, another night not even noted. The acronym to remember this is URGE. So the first one is URGE. URGE to move the legs, arms, torso. What does this look like? People rubbing their feet, fanning out their toes, needing to stretch, a jump, a jolt, a creepy crawly sensation, or others, a heaviness, an ache, a discomfort, just an urge to reposition. These folks note this more when they're at rest. When they shift, reposition, they feel better, but then it builds up in discomfort. More likely in the evening hours. URGE is the acronym. Again, can be the arms and the torso, and it doesn't have to be the same. So if a teenager had growing pains, or if somebody says they had growing pains when they're younger, it's likely restless legs. Please also know there's a huge correlation. About 2/3 of people grind or clench. Some people, I want you to, oops, I'm going to go back here. This can be genetic or this can be medically related. If it's medically related, 3 things to look for. Thyroid, high or low, can lead to restlessness. Ferritin, I beg you, look at the ferritin, but don't look at what the lab recommends. The lab often says 15 or 25 is the cutoff. If somebody has restless legs, they have to be above 75 on their ferritin. Ferritin is the iron that crosses the blood-brain barrier to make dopamine that help people relax in the evening hours. Check the thyroid, check the iron levels, check the ferritin, and check the B vitamins. Low B12 levels. When it's less than 400, the nerves can be irritable. One more time. Thyroid, high or low, look at it. Ferritin, high or low, look at it. But a low ferritin, please, it's very common. And I need that to be closer to 75 based on the literature. And look at that B12 level above, basically, let's call it 400, I think is a fair statement. It's amazing. One more thing, please do not discount some of the opportunities, such as magnesium. We give it to women with premature contractions. We give it to people with migraines. 1/3 of the people that I put on magnesium want to give me a hug. It's quite amazing to me. But no magnesium oxide. Oxide is a laxative. Citrate can be relaxing, but also a subtle laxative. Magnesium citrate is also an opportunity to say, try it. But then the magnesium glycinate, the magnesium, glycinate, glucuronate, threonate, there's so many other magnesiums out there, but not the oxide, I beg you, because oxide does no relaxation of the musculoskeletal system. Don't miss this. Have a low threshold. Obstructive sleep apnea. What we want to do is keep the nose open to make sure that there's airspace behind the tongue and the throat. Apnea, without air. Hypopnea, hypopnea, less air. So an apnea is a full collapse of the airway for 10 seconds or longer. Sometimes it has volume. It doesn't have to have volume. So do not correlate snoring with this. You will be fooled and feel foolish. Instead, what I want you to know is, here it is. When it's loud and it does have snoring, this is the Hollywood version. And then a collapse of the airway for 10 seconds, followed by what? When somebody says that's there repeatedly at night, that's a real good tip-off, but that does not have to be there. Now, hypopnea is a partial collapse. If it has volume, it's heavy breathing. And then after 10 seconds, this is not dramatic. It's not going to wake up your bed partner. But I ask you to know, remember the CPR classes, A, B, C. They don't use that anymore in CPR, but if you don't have an airway, you can't breathe and you can't circulate. So please make sure we have an airway. Please do not wait for this to be obvious. Have a low threshold to have somebody look at this. What you want to know, there's something called the apnea hypopnea index, AHI. Now, what I want you to know, less than 5 is normal. So everybody's allowed to clear their throat. Now, this is where I need you all with your talents to lean in. Many insurance companies are going to blow off until it hits 15. So what they really want to do is hit 30 and above, but 15. But if somebody has psychiatric challenges, if they have heart health issues, brain health issues, but please know, depression, anxiety, some of those difficult conditions of schizophrenia, 5 and above, if we make that clear to the insurance companies, they'll help people treat that. But most people don't know that because they're just looking at what insurance companies first blushes will talk to us if it's 15 and above. Who wants to choke at all at night, let alone more than 5 times? So please lean into this. Now, I'm also going to tell you one more data set that doesn't get any popular press or insurance companies interested. Here's a quiz. At what time of night do you have the most shallow breathing? And what form of sleep? Rapid eye movement, dream sleep. In a dream sleep, you're paralyzed. Other than your eyes, your heart. But your diaphragm's helping you, but not the costal muscles, not the rib cage. So If someone were in a dream, they're not going to get that costral kick to help billow the air in and out. I've seen a number of people, they don't have high apnea, but once they go in a dream, it's off the charts. I've only had a few insurance companies ever work with me on this, but I've petitioned a few back when I used to be in the insurance world about treating someone with that. It's been amazing. So please know that you have to dig for it. They're not going to give it to you in the final report. You'd have to look through the data to get that. Now, because of the time, I want to honor a few big ticket items. Insomnia. It's dissatisfaction with the quantity quality of sleep. Troubles getting to sleep, staying asleep, or waking up and not able to get back to sleep, not getting the sufficient quantity. Daytime impairment, at least 3 nights times 3 weeks. What we want to know is, of course, this is the DSM-4, DSM plus that we're looking at. What I want you to know is many people think that they have to have insomnia every single night for it to be considered a true diagnosis. 3 times per week is all we need times 3 weeks. What you'd want to know, acute insomnia is there, and it's the leading reason for chronic insomnia. The instigator for the insomnia can go away, but then insomnia can continue. It's like a lot of the other challenges with PTSD and other psychiatric disorders. This has humbled people outside of psychiatry to work on it. So insomnia is about 1/5. I think this is much higher, but this is what the data says. Look at this. This is the top 12 diagnoses as of pre-pandemic that was going into doctors' offices. And what you want to know, all of them were highly associated with insomnia. So this is out there, my friends. It impacts the mind and the body. Over-the-counter medicines, herbal therapies, hypnotics. What I want you to know is all of them have a place. What I want you to know is obviously majority of primary care only has time to give hypnotics, and they don't have a lot of time to help. Let me just give it to you. The scheduled medicines, the Ambiens of the world, the Sonatas, the Lunestas, they're all related to one another. They're non-benzo receptor agonists. So what it is we know the benzos click, anti-anxiety, muscle relaxation, sleepiness. When you bring in a non-benzo, Ambien, Lunesta, or that of, what is that? Ambien, Sonata. What you would have there is that it doesn't click, it rubs. It doesn't give you the anti-anxiety, but what all these can do is worsen apnea. So whenever I give somebody this medicine, I have to be really careful that I'm not worsening somebody's apnea or inducing apnea. So when some people are on it, I often will say, hey, do a sleep study for me or a portable study. Many people don't know what they don't know. It's alarming to me how many people don't do well on that. Please also appreciate that we also have some people in herbals. And what's the most famous herbal out there? Melatonin. It's not an herbal, it's a hormone. It's not available at all in Europe, for example. What I would want you to know is 1 milligram helps you change time zones. 3 milligrams is sleepiness. But if I were to send you to your corner drugstore right now, you'll be hard pressed to find 1 or 3 milligrams. You're going to have 5s, 10s, in children forms, let alone adult forms. So I want you to know that we can help people, but you could induce some really vivid dreams in some individuals with this. And please know that there's always a reason just to be really thinking a dose for people. It's an opportunity to think about it. With all things out there, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia is absolutely the best. Alcohol is number one way around the world people try to help themselves. It helps for about a week or two. It can worsen apnea, but after 2 weeks, dopamine shifts everything else. People are not actually getting the sleep benefit off of that. I'm not going to go through the detail, but please, please, please go lean in, do your CMEs, learn about CBTI, the stimulus control, sleep restriction, cognitive therapy, sleep hygiene, relaxation therapy. Face-to-face is, of course, what we like, but the online therapies are helping people. Please do not discount them. What I want to know, again, is that CBTI Coach is indeed the app that's helping a lot of people. Developed by the VA, so it's free, along with our friends at Stanford, considered one of the most historically touted sleep programs in the country. Let me hit a few of them. Many people roll their eyes like, yeah, I know about sleep hygiene. Now, I don't like the term. It makes people sound like they're dirty when they go to bed. That's not at all what we're worried about, right? We're just looking to help them honor some things that give them more tidy opportunity, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So if you get that sleep hygiene list, List it out and tell people, I know you went through it. Tell me what you knew about it. You'll be amazed. They're like, well, slow people down because they will glaze over, roll their eyes, and get irritated with you. But please know that this is the great way to lean into what people do during the day, hyper focus on what they do before bed, and how they set up their bedroom. Classically important, what I find in my top 3. Let's go deeper into understanding daytime, nighttime, alcohol, caffeine, exercise, nutrition. I did a little TEDx talk a few years back, but I'm going to give it to you in 2 minutes so you can save 20 minutes of your life. What I want you to know, I said it at the beginning. What we have here is, please know, your nighttime sets up your day and your day sets up your nighttime. The chemistry of both help us perform at both places, help us get to sleep, stay asleep, feel refreshed. When we're refreshed, this is important. What I want you to know is, let's hit some of the big ticket items. I'm not trying to lose any friends here, but let's talk about it. Alcohol. I want you to know, I'm not here to be anti-alcohol. Whether somebody drinks or not drink, that's not the question. That's something deeper we can appreciate for another time. But it's really about the quantity and about the timing. For every 1 drink, my friends, it impacts you for 2 hours from the time you finish it, if it's drank within a 30, 45-minute time frame. When you want to sleep the first hour, you're more relaxed. You ever notice if you have that nightcap and go to bed, you snore a bit, or at least your bed partner does? Maybe not you, but at least your bed partner, if you know what I mean. And then what I would want you to know, that second hour, your brain is more fidgety. So for every 1 drink, it impacts you and challenges you for 2 hours. What's 1 drink? Let's take a look at it. 12 ounces of a beer, 1.5 ounces of spirits or a shot. Not everybody measures out when they have a cocktail. 5 ounces of wine. My friends, how many ounces in a bottle of wine? 26. How many servings in a bottle? 5. People are like, oh no, I can get it all in 1 glass. It's not what you pour. It's about that opportunity of knowing that. So many times you're going to see me honor rituals, but then people say, I have a great ritual. My beloved and I split a bottle of wine before bed. What you and I would want to know is this. A half a bottle of wine is how much? 2.5 servings. 2.5 times 2 hours is what? 5 hours. Ouch. So if somebody has a nightcap by splitting a bottle of wine, this is a recipe for harshness. Let's go even further. Now, this is noted. 2/3 of people take 7 hours to reduce their caffeine by 50%. So if you're an 8 a.m. cup of Java, it's a half a cup at 3 p.m. And at 10 p.m., it's a 1/4 cup. What you'd want to know is that even further, caffeine blocks the chemical that puts you in deep sleep. What was deep sleep about? Growth hormone, testosterone, proteins that repair the body. So if you are tempted to have that tea and coffee in the afternoon and that evening, maybe you can fall asleep, but you might not get that full physical repair. Buyer beware. Please keep your caffeine. Tea and coffee are great antioxidants. Keep them in the morning hours if you would, please. Just simply, do we need another reason to ask people to move away from tobacco when they're ready, when it can be prioritized in their lives? It disrupts the circadian rhythm, increases apnea, troubles falling asleep, more likely to wake up. Ouch, 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 ouch. Food. I get asked by industry, and I've never taken that opportunity to support because there's no diet. Everybody says, give me a food that can help me go to bed at night. Well, we know what stops sleep. We're not so good at putting people to sleep. Let me say it another way. We're not great at helping people get a great night of sleep by triggering food. Energy-rich foods disrupt sleep. So these are the fatty, refined foods, the refined carbohydrates, especially close to bedtime. Those people get less veggies through regular meals. Please just look at this. What I would want you to know is exercise. Exercise, when you burn up more energy, you induce the chemistry for sleep. Energy promotes deep sleep. That ATP hypothesis basically means when you break down ATP, more adenosine. But wait, if you're working out so hard you're in pain, remember, pain does not help you sleep at all when you go to bed. So I beg you to think of this, if you will. Adenosine, as mentioned, helps you with deep sleep. Please, please move during the daytime. I know we are sometimes more couch locked or chair locked, but we need to keep that movement. Adenosine, as mentioned, is challenged by caffeine. So please balance this. What we want to appreciate here is also the timing. We need to appreciate that body temperature promotes deep sleep. It's the cooling of the temperature. So it takes 2 to 3 hours for the body to cool down. If you're a highly conditioned athlete, you can work out closer to bedtime. But most people need to wrap up their workout about 2 hours before bedtime. I want you to know this cooling can also be triggered by a warm shower or bath before bed. It's one of my favorite recommendations when I talk about rituals before bedtime. If we can have people keep a sleep schedule, please give them permission to schedule a number of hours. If they can, try to keep it similar every day of the week. If those people are challenged by sleep, see on the weekends if they want to shift, but they do it by an hour. When I work with people on time zones, working in performance medicine, working in the business world, I know they can naturally change their clock by 1 hour per day. But that's where sometimes we have to go deeper to help people on the social jet lag, meaning during the weekends. Now, as I finish up here, my friends, I would want you to think about ritual and routine. What I would want you to know is that this jet lag can be looked at. So if you're going east to west, this is a shorter time, and it's basically, therefore, an easier ability to get to sleep. When you are taking a conversation of west to east, that can be more difficult. So please know, and I can get some resources for you all to look at melatonin, fasting, and medicines to help people with their jet lag. The natural body clock is 24.2 hours. Therefore, it's easier to stay awake than it is to fall asleep. Let me finish up here. I want people to know this is the way that I help most people. 1 hour before it, ramp down. You don't have to turn off, get away from the screens, get away from electronics, make it darker. Aromatherapy, warm shower, use your 5 senses to soothe you before bed. Consistent wake up time if you can. Honor that mental and emotional times that come up. Eat real food. We've got to get adenosine more or less separated from the ATP. Don't have to quit caffeine and alcohol, but there's a timing and how close to bed. Create a ritual because we should separate the daytime and taper into the night. Last slide that for now, what I would want you to think about, many of us have a busy brain. Recite a poem, prayer, hymn. When you focus on one thing, remember the brain can focus on one thing at a time. So if you keep your mind here, it will be less likely to do the shoulda, coulda, living in the past, or the what if, living in the future. Count the breaths, do the same thing. The Reynolds technique is tightening the toes, relax the calves, relax. Routinely, your mind will drift, start thinking about something and get you all kind of on the hamster wheel. Smile, know it happens to everyone. Go back, recite your poem, prayer, hymn, count your breaths to 10, or go back to your toes. What I want you to know is if you're still awake after 20 minutes, get out of bed. Go read, perhaps in a different room under a soft light. Gentle stretch or yoga. Try different relaxation techniques. My big splurge was getting a massage chair. So on those nights that my brain's super busy, I'll go and let the chair take over for 20 minutes and see if I need a second cycle. What I want you to do is first create a ritual before bed. Quantity, getting that of a rhythm, giving yourself a ritual before bed is there. So what I want us to know is as you take a look at these 3 key principles, really focus that nutrition, exercise, honoring that stress during the daytime is critical. Sleep does not start when you get in bed. Sleep is everything we do from the time we wake up. My friends, you can connect through so many different resources. My favorite one to recommend out there is CBTI Coach. It really has been one that's helped more people than any other resource I've seen out there. I know I've taken up a bit of time. If you have thoughts or questions or look me up on LinkedIn, I appreciate you guys doing so much for the work that you all do. But please start with you and your best health. Thank you. Thanks everyone for being up late here tonight with us.
Oh my goodness, how wonderful is that? You know what? I can't believe, thank you for, yeah, contact information is lovely.